Okay, guys, we are back at it, and we are about to talk about scalping for beginners. How to know if you should be trimming and scalping, what even is trimming and scalping, and how to best profit off those while fighting the bearish trend if things are going long. And you can even do this while going short. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to identify all of this, and as you already know, I'm Billy Banks. If you don't know, I make these videos all day, every single day, 24/7, giving you live educations on when to do these things and how to do these things, as well as updating price targets and all that good stuff like that for these different cryptos. And you can request your stock and or crypto to let all that good stuff, and I get on that. Let's just get right into it. So if you are looking to be a scalper, gonna have to understand how to scalp and what that even means. So there's a few different words. Maybe you scalping or maybe you trimming. The average Joe just gonna say, I'm just gonna take some money off the table. I'm gonna lock in some gains here, for example. Okay. And if you go see, for example, on anyone, we'll look at LAES, for example. Notice how on LAES people are trimming, letting the rest run, and then is trimming some more at the top, and or scalping, if that's what you would like to call it. This is things that you do on a stock that's on an uptrend, and you can do this whether you are day trading, swing trading, or a long-term investment. Okay, now if you go down to a 15-minute trading chart, you can see how day traders will want to lock in gains and whatnot in between the days. It's easier to scalp and day trade a stock that's high in value. The higher the volume, the more volatile it'll be. And it'll create opportunities for 1 minute chart traders who are really the ones who are doing all that scalping and trimming and whatnot all through fast throughout the day. Where they get in at the bottom, let's say for here on just a quick example on LAES at like 140, that's what, 145, and then they'll buy that thing back up. Notice some red candlesticks coming between because they trimming some, like taking or scalping, taking some off the table. It will go up where they want to scalp just a little bit more. Maybe they honed out to their 15-minute chart and seeing that maybe they feel like things are just going to continue to come in for a little bit more bullishness and whatnot. And so they will. And once it goes up a little bit higher, they'll still want to trim and or scalp. Now, few ways you can do this. There's a few different ways to identify when you should and how you should go about it. Okay, so me myself, you know me, I'm gonna recommend you the same thing. I'm gonna recommend you don't do any of that, and you just go for your 7 to 15% targets. Let that thing explode, and then once it gets up to such heights and whatnot, have your 7 to 15% stop loss. And if it does hit your 7 to 15% stop loss, then you automatically locking in gains no matter what. And if it doesn't hit your 7 to 15% stop loss off of that pullback, well, cool. It's just gonna continue to run no matter what, and you move your stop loss up. That's how I would do it. That's how I do it. Now, again, there are some cases where maybe you don't want to sell it all off. Maybe you want to continue to let it all hold up and run for however many days and whatnot, and you looking to trim and or scalp on a longer time frame. I'll show you a bigger stock. Let's say on CDIO, for example. CDIO, I gotta go down to a daily chart. Here on the CDIO, you will see that we get bullish from about 19 cents down there. Going up to about what's this? Going up to about 35 cents, even 51 cents. Notice how it takes that dip there at that what's at that 31 cents down there, and it goes to that quick sell-off. Well, it becomes overbought on that time frame. Now that is where the early swing traders want to lock in gains, and where longer swing traders and or longer term investors truly decide if this be the move for them. And they're gonna watch it to see if it goes down more. Off that next round of bullish divergence that comes in, they'll still hold with confidence. And notice how this gets up to about 51 cents where they want to sell it off again. Some more people who will be holding in for a longer term will start to trim some more and or scalp some more and take some off the table. Again, we're looking at this on a longer term time frame, so it's easier for you swing traders to understand. Now you get faced with big volatility as a lot of people get nervous and market conditions probably turn red all across the board, and eventually you come up for a big bull run. And all the people who only trimmed the scalp and still held in got the max profits off of there, as they continue to run up. And they even maybe even trim some more up there. They want to let the rest run. Now, eventually, in most cases, you're scalping and or trimming your way out of there rather than trimming some off, and then letting the rest run. You really gonna feel like that you should have just let it all run. What was the point? Anyways. But if you're going off a day trade time frame, like your 15s, your QUREs and stuff like that, I mean, off your 15s, your 1 minutes and stuff like that, well, you get easier scalps throughout the day. like I say, really people are doing all the scalping and trimming. Those are really like a day trader type of thing. So you can watch your day trade time frames for this. In this case, I'll show you on your 1 minute chart. And we're looking at IPHI. Notice how this thing will run up through the days. You'll probably have some people with some longer day traders who are holding in throughout the entire day. Who probably got in at the bottom of that 140, the early seat with such an amount. And then they say, okay, I'm gonna trim some here. Okay, it's gonna push down. I'm still gonna hold. I'm gonna trim some more there. It's gonna explode again. I'm gonna trim some here as it's climbing higher and higher. They will continue to trim and or scalp their way out of there. Those are just different ways you can go about it. Now, to be able to identify where those ranges might be. So take note of this, okay? Notice how, and I got to get this on a certain time frame. Okay, so notice we can use this right here. So notice how this stock, when once it explodes from 140, it will go up to that 171. Big resistance at that 171 where I had that last big drop. It would get after that big resistance. Know how you got that quick wick on there. People want to scalp out there and whatnot, and they will let it run. They will watch for their next target ranges or where it might slow down at. Notice here where it had its next big slowdown range. What's this? About that 216? Let me zoom over. About that 216. It will have to break past that resistance of 216 before it comes in for that next explosion. Once it does, notice how it gets big resistance around 230, around that 250 range. Notice this 250 range right here. How it flattens out there. Big resistance there. Notice how they having struggles breaking past here as that was the last big point that is sold off. People will use these points as they scalp points and their trim points, they big resistance points. And I can go out a little bit further. Notice, take note of how once it finally did uptrend and then right about here around this $3 range, we go zoom back and you see all around this $3 range up here where it gets super choppy, where it had that first big, where it had that last big sell off. People use those resistance points there to know when they're going to be trimming and or scalping. And I just showed you every price target and every profit range across the board on this stock real quick. You can do it on almost any stock. In this case now you go down to like a 4 hour chart. You can be able to see it greater in detail. Notice that this $3 range was literally the big range for it to break past. Now, since it's past that, it's facing big resistance at what is this? What's this? It went up to about 350. Notice that big resistance there at about 350, where it had its big sell off. And it's struggling to break past that point where it has been previously struggling to break past that 350 point over the course of previous periods of times. And you can go hone out on that on your overall dailies and or weeklies to know what your different price ranges and or profit targets are. Now you look at your weekly, it's a solid candlestick, right? A lot harder to hone in on what your profit ranges and resistance points might be. Know how to spot that out and understand how you'll be scalping and trimming from there. And if you don't want to be making all those kinds of moves and even holding in that long, like I said, I don't even recommend you do. Just go ahead and get up in there. You got a 7 to 15% target. Once it hits your 7 to 15% target, well, you good. Now you got your 7 to 15% stop loss. If you up 15%, you probably got a 7% stop loss. So it didn't go down, it only went up higher. Now you move your stop loss up higher. Maybe you can even stretch that a little bit. Now you ain't gotta go for 7 to 15. Maybe now you can go for a 20, 25. You're probably up like 50% now or whatever. And then you say you still feel confident. Well, instead of going pulling back hitting your stop loss at all, it continued to climb up. Now you up like 80, 90%, and you setting your stop loss, now instead of even needing a 15% stop loss, now you got a 40, 50% stop loss or something like that. And then it continues to explode. Boom. Now, if it goes down to whatever your stop loss is, and again, I still recommend a 7 to 15, and many people do, which is why once it pulled back about 7 to 15%, 20% about, a lot of people's stop loss are getting hit and they selling off. Take note of your profit ranges. And you can do the same thing going in the opposite because notice how it's selling off to about this 271, exactly where it exploded from last time, and exactly where it's already retested. Big support ranges. Positions where shorts want to lock in gains. You can see that in greater detail on the 1 minute chart as well. But this is how you will go about scalping and trimming and stuff like that. And I just showed you how you can set your targets and profits and resistance and stuff like that to be scalping and trimming at exact times and understand on long-term swing trades and day trade time frames. It's easy. I'm doing this because it's easy money when you know what you're going for. And I'm showing you on every single video, not only my stock video, regular stock and crypto videos, but also on these educational videos and whatnot, that it is still literally the same setup and same strategy every single trade. Nothing has ever changed. I've never even changed the strategy up. And I'm Billy Banks. I'll see y'all in the next one there. Happy trade.